Taiwan, the juicy prize that China wants to acquire for many decades, is also home to the crown jewel of the global semiconductor industry, TSMC. Will this one super important company be the reason for World War III? Chinese President Xi Jinping has repeatedly stated that the reunification with Taiwan is inevitable, whether peaceful or by force.
我们坚持以最大诚意 尽最大努力，争取和平统一的前景，但绝不承诺放弃使用武力。
United States, on the other hand, are a guarantor of Taiwanese autonomy, with President Biden renewing this pledge. According to most military experts, if World War III were to happen, it would most likely be because of Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Does the presence of TSMC actually increase or decrease the probability of such conflict occurring? TSMC is the largest semiconductor manufacturer in the world and the most advanced. This company alone constitutes around half of the entire Taiwanese stock market capitalization. But the island is home to other important semiconductor companies, such as the foundry UMC or ASA Group, specialized in testing and packaging. In the previous video, we've seen how China still lags behind in most parts of the semiconductor production chain. Seizing TSMC and the others would skyrocket China to the lead in the chip industry. So does it mean that TSMC increases the likelihood that China will go forward with the invasion? Not necessarily. You see, the war operations could damage the fabs. Since the machinery needs to be absolutely precise, even a seemingly small damage might render it useless. Even if the fabs were not damaged by the war, a sabotage from within is another probable scenario. Since they are filled with many flammable or explosive gases, it wouldn't be all that hard. Many Chinese companies still rely on TSMC for their microchips. So TSMC in Taiwan's hands is still better for China than owning a pile of rubble, which is the first reason why TSMC may decrease the probability of war. The second reason is the importance of the company to the rest of the world. All iPhones run on chips made in TSMC fabs, where most of Nvidia chips also come from. This self-interest increases the likelihood of USA coming to aid in a case of conflict.
Gondor calls for aid and Rohan will answer.
No, Joe, I mean Taiwan, for Christ's sake. Anyway, this strategy is sometimes referred to as the Silicon Shield. However, the recent efforts to shift semiconductor manufacturing back to USA is viewed as a threat to the Silicon Shield strategy. So even though TSMC is currently more of a deterrent, this situation may change swiftly. Within a decade, China could be much more self-sufficient in semiconductors than now. That would decrease the economic fallout of a potential TSMC destruction and the vulnerability to foreign sanctions. At the same time, Europe and America might also be more self-reliant when it comes to chips, which would reduce their self-interest in helping Taiwan. Lastly, by the time China could strengthen its military more than its opponents, thus shifting the regional balance of power even more to its favor, possibly making the USA more reluctant to enter any conflict with China. All three developments are already underway, and there is little to suggest that it should stop anytime soon.